Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the BrainScratch Commentaries playthrough of Resident Evil 2. And we have chess pieces, which means we need to plug them into walls. Don't ask, it's Resident Evil. But yeah, wall panels for chess pieces. And, you know, that's how it works in this universe.
It's just the game's way of implementing both of the gimmicks, I guess you could say, from the original.
Yeah, although the animal plaque pieces from Irons' office are just gone.
Oh yeah, they're just gone.
Yeah, they're not even referenced in a weird side puzzle like the emblems from the first remake were.
Maybe because they were already kind of a repeat of like RE1's panels, or maybe the emblems.
Yeah, they sort of were. I mean, they even split one of them into two pieces so that it would still be 4 items. The only reason that they existed was because when they were making the original Resident Evil 2, they wanted both characters to have different unlock pieces to make it seem like they were doing something different to get out of the police station. The weird thing about it, though, was that Claire would always find her animal stone pieces in the same place as Leon found his chest plug pieces. So, yeah. Resi 2 was full of weird inconsistencies in what people were doing and where.
Or probably a result of its development cycle.
Yeah.
Was it a troubled development cycle, or as I
Basically,
don't know?
It went through a lot of radical changes.
Basically, I think, what was it, one of the scenario guys at one point from like 1.5 was going through it, and they were like 75-ish% done or so. And apparently he was just so unsatisfied with it, he just told them to start over. So they did.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
At the cost of Elsa Walker, who I thought I would have liked to seen as a actual thing.
Yeah.
Instead of just being a reference in a costume.
Yeah.
So wait, are we talking about this game or the original Resident Evil 2?
Original.
Okay.
Well, Elsa Walker was interesting in that at the time they were trying to make a game that was unconnected to the first game. Like they were going for a large universe that wasn't necessarily about any ongoing narrative between recurring characters. They sort of compromised on that by making it a larger narrative and universe about a smattering of in and out recurring characters. So we got new introductory characters here and there, but there would be connections to existing characters, or we'd see familiar faces popping in and out, which I think is a nice dynamic. You don't...
I like to think that somewhere out there's a parallel universe where like all the originally intended Resident Evil games actually managed to get through their initial development cycles. You know,
So
and
Paranormal 4.
We get RE2 with Elsa Walker. We get Paranormal RE4.
We get first person Resi 1.
Yes.
Resident Evil Survivor.
But you know, it's just funny because I guess in ways the DS version of RE1 pays homage to that with the exclusive touchscreen mode.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work.
Oh, that's why we didn't do this.
Leon has to do this stupid puzzle twice. I don't get it. Like, he has to do it in the generator room in the station, and he also has to do it here. But, yeah. We turn the power back on. It's time to walk through this door. Nothing could possibly go wrong. Oops.
Thanks for spoiling it.
Yeah, we get this whole section where the claws are bursting through the walls in this room instead of in the...
Some sort of demented crane game.
Ooh.
You can't actually do anything to him damage-wise.
I think you can speed him up as far as, like, getting him to... burst through
Maybe.
the
I think
door.
it is just lasting long.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is damage based because he can stick his hand out in the area twice.
Yeah. You don't want to stand as far back as I'm doing, because this happens. No? I'm not far back enough. All I know is that... Oh! I was hoping to get in under his arm, but I wasn't fast enough. Yeah. There's fire that fills the back of the room at that point.
Fire hurt.
Yeah, so if you stand too far back from the door, Yeah, as he's bursting through the door, the flames close in and force you to be close to the door. That's pretty effective. Anyway, this twisted homage to Plane Tyrant here is one of the one of the more poorly designed bosses in the game for blind playthroughs, but paradoxically super easy to do on repeat playthroughs, which means it's
Because once you know the trick.
yeah. The problem with Plane Tyrant though is that you knew the trick, it was obvious, but it was a pain in the ass boss fight even if you knew the trick. So yeah. Anyway, the trick is to actually deal damage to the tyrant and stun him in the area of effect where the crane would hit him, so that he just sits there like a dumbass until it hits. If you're trying to hit him while he's running around and active, you're probably going to hit yourself, which is a good segue into ResidentEvil.net's metrics. Yes, there's a metric for this. Let's see.
There's a stat for that.
Yes, container. Hit self with container on first play. World number 1,185,791. Oh wait, I should refresh this.
So I may or may not have been in front of the container when I call it the first time.
Only times I've been hit by the container are when he caught me in a grab while the container was on its way, which is the embarrassing way to die, but also the one that feels most like your own fault. Okay, since my last refresh, a couple hundred have been added to that number. World 1,185,945.
A couple hundred people who just went through it for the first time between last time you refreshed it.
Yeah.
That's like only an hour.
So
Yeah, I find that a bit surprising. We're a couple months after launch, so
you know, we're talking worldwide numbers. So
I guess.
1,000,000.
I mean, I guess that
blah,
makes
blah, blah. That's the number.
Does that
of,
make sense? Because it's a very popular game. You know, I think it'll probably still sell relatively okay.
Yeah, yeah.
After
Oh, I'll probably even get a little small resurgence during the
Bam!
Halloween season.
And dead, I think.
It's always two.
Yep. In any case, 38% of people managed to hit him with the container on their first play,
Long live the king.
which only amounts to 725,525 people who did it right their first time.
Oh, is that all?
So more than half of people screwed this up on their first playthrough. And you know,
This is taking forever.
there's an argument to be made that the boss should not have been designed in this way, but at the same time, just for this metric and the animation that goes with it, is worth it in my mind. But you know, I played Code Veronica up to the end of the first half, shortly after playing this, and I experienced Plane Tyrant for myself, and I'm just like, no, they should not have homaged this. This is the worst thing Resident Evil has ever done, by far.
what about the movies?
I would rather watch the movies than fight Plane Tyrant again.
Oh no.
I'm dead serious. Plane Tyrant is awful.
Claire? Sherry, are you alright?
At the timing of this, I always thought it was a little weird because, like, before you even begin the whole sewer section, you get the cutscene where Sherry is talking to her mom over the PA,
So
and
what?
then she
yeah.
clearly falls over because she doesn't feel well, and it's only now that Annette.
Well, Annette shut the
comments on
the
that.
camera off. You could see the light blinking off, and she walked away. And Sherry just sort of fell over sick after that. She was trying to tell her mother she was sick, but her mother was like, "No, I've got more important things to do: people to save, monsters to kill." And then she walks away, and then she comes back to check on her daughter, probably because she realized belatedly that she was being a really shitty mom, wasn't she? There's this,
Also leaving her daughter inside a very likely unsafe
yeah.
sewer region.
There's this there's this problem. There's this sort of conflict that Annette is going through where she's like, I need to kill the G-Virus monster because if it gets out of Raccoon City, it's going to be bad. People are going to die. Lots of people are going to die. And you know, lots of people have already died, but you know, I've got to stop more people from dying. And then, you know, but she wants to save her daughter too. And she keeps telling herself that this is more important. This is more important. But in the end, she winds up letting Claire take on the G monster and saving her daughter instead, which is nice, you know.
I mean, strictly from a utilitarian point of view, sacrificing your own kid to save hundreds is a better idea, but
That's the renegade option, boy.
Yeah, the Paragon option is you do both. God damn it.
Exactly. That's how Mass Effect works.
A train with a switcher in front of it is heading towards a person strapped to the tracks on one end and 100 people on the other. What do you do?
Well, here's the thing. You that argument only works philosophically if you consider moving the lever to be murdering the one person, whereas not murder. Like honestly, no matter what you do, you're responsible for the deaths. You know,
The death
Yeah.
of something.
either it's not like your inaction is an action in that situation. You know, so
Yeah. Oh, hey. She just so happens to have a guest band that lets us on the train. That's nice.
Convenient.
If the Disney World was worth it.
yeah, they only have my fingerprint ID, DNA.
Facial recognition.
Well,
Yeah, but Splash Mountain's awesome, so worth it.
it's not as silly as you'd think because the guest pass really only gets you access to like the front 2 rooms and the cafeteria. So like if you wanted to
Okay.
bring your child to work because you couldn't afford a babysitter, you could bring it down. The Umbrella Lab is oddly pleasant in this version. Oh, by the way, the monitor room stays red until you remove the chess
pieces.
all the chess pieces. Yeah, you can't discard the chess pieces, presumably because they wanted to allow you to get back into the King Queen room or the room behind the Rook door without locking you out.
Locking yourself.
Yeah, so those are the only key items in the game that you can't discard.
Well, you can take them out and put them in the box and make the room blue, but
Yeah,
And the box doesn't have a limit on anything it can hold, right?
I don't think so.
no.
I mean, it kind of used to in the PS1 games, but I think that was more of a space limitation from the game itself than.
It was also something you would have to actively try to do.
Yeah, it's like it was more like one of those things that a game does because it can only remember so much stuff at once. But
So Sherry got infected, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
she's got like her eye is going all yellow like a G virus eye. You know, it's really disgusting actually.
When did that happen? Was she infected like before we found her? Or
when
When William was
when
infecting
William was? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
the Ironus and all
It's
that.
something they highlight more in the original game, and they just kind of pass over in the remake for obvious reasons.
Well, what happens is, like, they have this scene where Sherry is trying to wake you up when you're unconscious, and she's like, you have to wake up, he's coming, and then she runs away, and you wake up and find that you've been completely ignored by the monster, but Sherry is gone. Which is more effective in my mind than Sherry falls down a hole, gets knocked unconscious, and G. Birkin walks menacingly toward her, and it fades to black, which is what happens in the original. The thing about the G-Virus infection thing in the original, though, is that it was an A-scenario exclusive thing. This was one of the story sequences that only occurred if you played Claire A, so it would not happen in Claire B. In Claire B, Mr. X would be after Sherry because Sherry had the G-Virus sample on her, which is not true in this game. But you'd have to protect Sherry from Mr. X in cutscene mode, and Claire would throw the sample into a vat of molten metal, and Mr. X, like a dumbass, would dive. Yeah, that's what happened.
A single track mine. It has one purpose.
Yeah. So yeah, they went with the Claire A, Leon B scenario set up for their canon storylines here, with the odd inclusion of Leon being the one to fight the alligator, and Leon having Ada's death sequence from his A scenario as well.
I'm getting you treated.
Probably because Annette gets thrown against a wall in this game, and you know if that's a fatal injury, it would be a little weird to expect Ada to survive it in the same game, you know. So you know I get why they made that narrative decision, but on the other hand, the scene where Ada gets picked up by Mr. X, empties a handgun into his face before getting thrown into a computer console was badass. I kind of miss it.
Yeah, some things have to be lost to streamline things better.
Yeah. Anyway, they've given the lab a name. They call it the Nest, and it's all like slick and streamlined to make it look like a place where people can actually work and live.
And
Kind
it was
of.
designed by Apple.
It kind of reminds me of what was it called, the Hive from the first Resident
The
Evil movie.
Hive from the movies.
Yeah, it's like they took
Gotta
that.
be something here.
See, that's
Oh,
just
that's
freaking Outlook.
yeah, that's Outlook 2016
That's gotta be it.
or whatever.
Well, it's not Outlook 2016. It looks more like the Mail app
Sorry?
from Windows 10.
That is Outlook.
Outlook is more visually complicated and convoluted.
It's email, not from 1998.
Yeah, I mean, and the Mail app that comes with Windows is a lot simpler looking and more like iPhone-y streamlined. Outlook hasn't really changed in appearance much since Windows 7. Like they gave you some themes to change the design and put like little flowers over the top or something. But it still looks like a Windows 7 program is the point. But yeah, this file tells you about the antiviral agent called Devil, which I think is the same name they used in the original game. In the original game, when you were trying to cure Sherry, you actually had to run around finding items that you wouldn't have found in Claire's A scenario. You had to go like here and pick up this item and use this machine to synthesize the vaccine base and then take the base over to here. And it sounds more complicated than it is. Like I say, the lab in the original game is pretty linear. You just go back and forth between 2 points for the most part. But here, you just sort of find the antiviral agent laying around rather than doing anything special to synthesize it, which is a bit disappointing, I'm going to say. But, you know, it also doesn't differentiate Leon and Claire's runs through the lab much because you both just go through the circular area with the plant monsters, and then you go through the linear area where you fight Birkin, and you go pick up a vial from the same spot, and then you fight the same boss, and the entire lab section is probably the most disappointing part of the whole 2 storylines thing. But at the same time, I still like the lab here more than I do in the original.
Well, because this actually feels like an actual area.
It does, yeah. That's the thing. I like the the cafeteria and the like recorded voice in the cafeteria that's talking about how much nutritional food they have there while you stand there watching a zombie eat a corpse.
That's called irony.
There's nice bits of ironic humor scattered throughout this game, just enough, you know, not too much, but it's like the zombie that you find early on in the game that's banging its hands on the vending machine. You know, little dark humor moments that, you know, put a little grin on your face even though you're gripping your controller with sweaty hands and all. It's got the right balance of that Resident Evil charm versus the actual horror elements. I think I missed the file like right there on the wall too. I might have, anyway.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, walk right past it. That's the file that explains the guest pass, though. Basically, your means of progress through the lab is to find little chips that you can install in your guest pass, each one increasing your access rank by 1.
You are now our super duper platinum member.
Oh man, can't wait till I get the diamond level.
Yeah, it's cool. The file from the computer that talked about the nap room was there to tell you that someone went into the nap room but didn't come out. It's supposed to tell you that, hey, there's an employee in the nap room, either dead or a zombie, who might possibly have a key item on them. So go there.
Maybe he's just a deep sleeper.
Maybe. Well, he wasn't
Imagine
asleep.
you wake up after a 10-hour nap and all of your coworkers are dead.
He
and
wasn't.
are also zombies.
He wasn't
Isn't that Walking
He
Dead?
wasn't asleep, but he certainly is now. There's a bit of cool environmental storytelling there where you find the guy half shut in his little nap room pod with an arm hanging out. When you open it out, you find he's been shot to shit. He got killed while he was frantically writing in his journal about how fucked the situation was. And he got killed mid-sentence. So...
Poor asshole.
At least let me finish my thought.
No.
HFP, Professor.
Yeah, and the people who shot him were the Umbrella Security Service people that Hunk brought with him. So. He was designed for your.
I haven't heard that so long.
Our menu is designed for your nutritional needs. Please enjoy our tasty selection of healthy
Who
food.
wants dessert? I do.
Oh man.
My leg.
Bagel bites.
You're still eating. Over here,
I've heard of eating some ass, but that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, you tell him, Claire. I'm pretty sure.
No. Let her get up and see what happens with the body.
I guess like a fireman carry. Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
boop.
had it.
That guy really brings a new definition to the term eating out.
I thought eating out was supposed to be like in the other direction, though.
Okay, fine.
All right. Here we go.
Upstairs. For some reason, the kitchen also counts as the cafeteria. As far as
Yeah.
item collection goes, so don't get confused if there's nothing there.
Yeah, that
On your
whole
first
that
run
whole
through.
section of like room, kitchen, hallway is like one section as far as the map is concerned. So you need
It's
to
very weird.
yeah, you need to clear them all out to get them to turn blue. It's like the one confusing part of the map system. Yeah, here we are. For some reason, the door to get to the kitchen has a level 2 access door, but the actual kitchen door is level 1. It's like, why?
I think it's to prevent people from getting stuck if they like climbed over the counter.
They'd still be stuck behind the level 2 door.
Yeah, aren't there security doors in both ways? So
Oh, I was more specifically
Oh!
talking about the kitchen itself.
Fuck you.
asshole, bastard,
Shithead.
son of a
Motherfucker.
bitch.
Motherfucker.
They only swear when they miss.
Fuck, fuck, fuck.
It is kind of nice that they swear when they miss, because that's what you're saying outside the game.
Excuse me, this is a Christian evil pharmaceutical company, all right? I will not having you use such foul language.
Okay, darn, then.
Thank you.
Send you to another
Sticking
dimension.
out. Hand sticking out, and you get a prompt, and just like immediately think, oh, I'm just gonna give him a high five.
Anyway, yeah, we now have the general staff upgrade chip, which means we can actually access some things that employees are supposed to access. Also, an upgrade for our spark shot.
Which you have no room for.
No, it doesn't. There's no three spot
Doesn't-
weapons.
doesn't
So.
not, okay, there's no 3-slot thing? Okay.
No, there's no.
Every the max weapon can take up is 2 slots.
The flamethrower and the spark shot both have exactly one upgrade, and they're both found in this locker.
Doesn't even look like a viable weapon. It looks like a toy.
New from Mattel.
Muff. We need to come.
Muff.
We need to come back here once we have the the
The oscillator.
The box.
the
yeah.
cryptographic thing from Arkham Asylum. Yeah, that's
Yeah, cryptographic sequencer.
the cryptographic sequencer that somehow fixes electrical systems. Hi.
That's fine. It's Batman. Oh.
Hell is up with you?
Okay.
Oh, that's why it was moving.
I kind of wish you could close the door on them, and it would cause damage.
That would be cool. Yeah. Kind of disappointed that Capcom didn't think of it.
You asshole.
Although, really, the movement of the zombie should be keeping the door open, shouldn't it?
They don't. Do they still got their wristbands?
Oh, well, maybe, I suppose. They should be wearing them. I don't imagine they would have taken them off just because they were getting zombified. Somewhere under their wrists, maybe.
You look just like that janitor. And that police
and
officer.
their cop.
We're triplets.
Triplets.
That's called overkill.
Yes. Yes. It
I
is.
didn't mean to use a flame round, though.
Well, you have more than enough of each.
No, the thing is, I've been hoarding flame rounds all game specifically for the plant monsters. Because the plant monsters in the lab operate on basically Crimson Head logic, where
They're Pokemon.
they'll come back to life after a while if they don't burn to a black crisp. So, as Leon, basically just spray them with the flamethrower until they go down. Claire has to be a little bit more methodical because the flame rounds are harder to find than flamethrower ammo, and you get less out of them. And it generally takes more than one flame round shot to perma-kill the plant monsters. So
That's what I think. What you should be doing is you hit it with a flame round, let the fire linger
yeah,
before you decide to fire another one.
that's generally what I do. Yeah, let the burn damage play out.
I mean, that's
and-
basically what you do with the flamethrower too. You just kind of puff it at them once and then just let them burn until it stops.
Yeah, puff, puff, puff. That's how I
Yeah.
did it. You would find the cryptographic sequencer next to this dead guy in the B scenario, but you gotta wait until you find it halfway through the east wing. Oh yeah, Ghost, by the way. This dead guy right here is the guy you play in Ghost Survivors. the unnamed USS soldier who you play through in that scenario against the armored zombies and everything.
I particularly love this room mostly because of the out of bounds and glitchy stuff that happens. Because if you mess up the helicopter sequence, the pilot for it will still be T-posing, kind of like in a certain area in the police station. However, when stuff reloads for the sewers in here, it all takes up in the same game space. So in this area, if you look way off in the distance on your right here, you will still see the pilot T-posing way off in the distance.
Oh man.
If you talk about if you clip out of bounds and
Yeah.
like go way out in the void, you'll find the helicopter pilot.
No, you can
just
no,
like
no, you
over
can
there.
no, you can see him still here. It's if you skip the helicopter sequence and then get to this part as normal, he will just be off in the distance T-posing.
That's good. That's great. Man, there's so much distance to fall in this place. This is accurate to the original game for the most part.
I never get why there's so much empty space in these kinds of things all the time. Like, why? What's the point of not
For
having
something
anything
like
there?
this, I think for something like this, it's more to make it harder for anything to get out.
That too, but I think it's implied with this lab that there are more floors than just the one you explore here.
Oh, definitely.
Because there's a big ass elevator through the middle of it.
This is just one level of research.
Like I think in Resident Evil Outbreak you explore more of the underground lab in certain episodes than you would in Resident Evil 2. So you do get to see more areas of that version of the lab.
And it makes it easier to write for sequels.
Well, on this other floor,
Yeah, exactly.
Well, like, why would you need multiple elevators, which the original games lab did have, if there were only 2 floors?